Hey guys, it's Cash, and as I said before, I felt like I could be getting sick, and I am, so just bear with me. I'm going to try to make this as brief as possible, but there are some things that I wanted to clear up and talk about the last two videos that I made. And one of them is when I said the 5 or 6 guys, the 5 or 6 honey trap situations. Now, when I got out of the abusive relationship that I talk about a lot on here, it wasn't 5 or 6 guys right away. I meant 5 or 6 guys within the course of a 5-year period. So it was about 5 or 6 situations in the course of now 5 years that I felt were honey trap situations. One of them I'm not quite so sure about, but for the most part, 5 or 6 situations. Now, I spent a lot of time thinking, like, who would do this? Like, who would send people into my life for the means of sabotage, obtaining information, and things like that? And, my mind would always go back to my ex and what he would say to me about me not being able to find anybody better than him after that relationship. And I would always go back to that. And for a long time, I thought, it's probably him sending these people in my life just to know what I'm doing and to get information and to have these people ghost me, so what he said about me not being able to find anybody would hold true. But I don't believe that, because the person that I dated before him was a better person than him. So it was something stemming from that situation. My mind even went, on the business side of things. There's these douche lords out there that I could see doing the same type of thing, want information, So I had that going on. I had the relationship, I had the business aspect. And then, I got to a point where I was like, what if it's spiritually? What if spiritually I've accepted one of these people into my life and I've just been marked spiritually for this douchebaggery, basically? And that's how these people just kept coming into my life, because I had not yet healed and started to notice the signs, the red flags to look for. So I was just allowing these people into my life and letting them stay for longer than they should have. So it was kind of a mixture of those 3 things all together, but either way, it all comes down to control. It's all about control. It's all about controlling a person's life, how they're feeling, what they're doing, who they're hanging out with, and things like that. Because even my friends, even girlfriends that I had, they were compromised as well. Couldn't tell them anything. So it was a very, and still is, a very, just, how can I put it? You just can't trust anybody. And that is something that they do in cults and human sex trafficking and things like that. They don't want these people, the girls, to be able to trust anybody. So I had nobody to turn to, nobody to talk to, didn't trust anybody, didn't want to date anymore. So to get that human interaction, what was I going to do? Go on dates, jump on the webcam if I was still doing that. That's how this isolation works with this and making an individual vulnerable. So this leads me into what I want to talk about today. And it's this glamorization of this industry being glamorized in every outlet, on media, social media, whatever. And although it is nice and financially rewarding to be able to pay for anything that you want, not want for anything, there's this lie that's being told that this is an empowering job, and it isn't. And because nobody talks about the physical and the psychological and the spiritual ramifications of this, you are literally opening yourself up to excuse me to these narcissistic individuals. It's a narcissistic trap once you get in this, and it's so dangerous nowadays because there is a grooming process going on for young women, for people that have never tried escorting or anything like that, there's a grooming process with these apps. There's apps like What's Your Price, Seeking Arrangements. This is where normal women with normal jobs, not saying that escorts aren't normal or anything like that, but like lawyers, doctors, women like that can get on these sites and set a price for a date, and the man either accepts or denies it, or goes on Seeking Arrangements, and the guy, oh, I want to take you on a trip and fly you here and do this. And while that's great, it's also a grooming process. It's making people that wouldn't normally do an escorting job be comfortable in escorting like situations. So this whole sugar daddy culture, all this stuff that's so popular, however you want to spin it, whatever terminology that you want to put on it, if you are spending time with a man for an amount of money, I don't care if you're a doctor or a nurse or a lawyer or a college student or you're going to school or anything, you are escorting. And it's through these apps and mainstream media and all this stuff that they've normalized this. They've made this not so taboo. And that's why women, young women nowadays, are completely skipping over stripping and just jumping right into sex work, because they don't see excuse me, they don't see it as a problem anymore. They don't see it as that, because it's being disguised as something else. They're blurring the lines between escorting and prostitution with sugar daddy culture. So if you have a friend out there that's on What's Your Price or Seeking Arrangements, please tell that friend you are escorting. You don't have to sleep with someone to be considered an escort. And eventually, that's what it all leads into, because they want us all to be sexualized. They want a sexualized population because it's easier to control people that their mind is constantly on sex. So through trying these apps and sugar daddy culture and all that stuff, you're being led into this narcissistic trap. And that's exactly what it is. And once you get into this stuff, you'll see, I don't know what it is, I guess spiritually, it just labels you as open to this type of behavior. And you'll just see a plethora of these type of men coming into your life, and it's like, where are they all coming from? And it's because of that. It's a narcissistic trap. So these men on these dating sites, they know exactly what they're doing. They've been on here, they have hundreds, thousands probably of women right at their disposal, just to write and say, oh, let me take you to Dubai. And it's a different breed of man on Seeking Arrangements, let me tell you. So I've had friends that go on these sites and What's Your Price and stuff. I've had friends that have made money, and then I've also had friends that have gone on dates with these men, and then the man gets up and goes to the bathroom and leaves them with the bill. So it's becoming very easy for men to just con women, basically, and we as women need to wake up to this fact. So that's all I really have to say. I just think that the whole thing is keeping women from accessing their true power, and I don't like it. So that's why I'm talking about it, and I think everybody should be aware and know what is going on. So with that said, I hope everybody has a wonderful day, and God bless.